Welcome to this massive open online course on International Humanitarian Law in Theory and Practice. My name is Robert Heinsch and I'm currently a visiting professor for International Humanitarian Law at the Institute for International Law of Peace and Armed Conflict at Bochum University in Germany. In addition, I'm an associate professor of public international law at the Grotius Centre for International Legal Studies of Leiden University in the Netherlands and the director of its Kalshoven-Gieskes Forum on International Humanitarian Law. Furthermore, I'm the founder of both the Leiden and Bochum IHL clinics, which enable bachelor and master students to apply theoretical knowledge to practical assignments provided to us by actors from the humanitarian field, including the International Committee of the Red Cross, National Red Cross Societies, and a number of human rights NGOs. For the last 20 years, I have dedicated my professional career and private life to the study, research, teaching, and dissemination of international humanitarian law. I have had the opportunity to work in both practice and academia, including at the International Criminal Court in The Hague, the Red Cross headquarters in Berlin, and at the university in Bochum, Leiden, and Cologne. Together with my colleagues Dr. Giulia Pinzauti and Dr. Irving, I would like to introduce you to one of the most important legal regimes of modern times, international humanitarian law, also known as the law of armed conflict. For the next 5 weeks, we will embark upon a journey across the globe looking at past conflicts such as the Second World War and a series of conflicts in the former Yugoslavia, as well as current situations including the occupation of the West Bank and the conflict in eastern Ukraine. You will be exposed to some of the darkest practices in the history of war, which have also resulted in the death of thousands of civilians, like for example the use of napalm in the Vietnam War, the aerial bombardment of a funeral in Yemen, and the use of chemical weapons in Syria. Among others, we will look into the following questions. What does IHL say about the use of certain weapons and methods of warfare? And what are the consequences of engaging in such a behavior? Perhaps you have also heard in the news about the imprisonment of alleged terrorists in Guantanamo Bay and the hospital attack in Kabul, Afghanistan, which seems to have hit indiscriminately also doctors as well as sick and wounded soldiers. In the coming weeks, you will discover to which situations does IHL apply? How does IHL afford protection to victims of war? Which persons are protected by this legal regime? And how can we actually implement and enforce IHL? In order to provide you with the answers to these questions, we have designed this MOOC with 5 separate modules. In the current module, you will get a short introduction to the basic concepts and the history of IHL. In the second module, you will learn about conflict classification. As such, you will become familiar with the different types of armed conflict and you will understand in which situations international humanitarian law applies. The third module of this course will focus on the conduct of hostilities under IHL. We will examine which weapons soldiers and commanders are allowed to use and how they should conduct their military operations. The fourth module is devoted to the study of protected persons under IHL. Here we will see how the sick and wounded, detainees, civilians in occupied territories, women, children and other groups of vulnerable persons are protected, especially by the 4 Geneva Conventions. Finally, in Module 5, we will delve into the implementation and enforcement of IHL and discover how compliance with IHL can be guaranteed and promoted. In our MOOC, you will benefit from the combination of theory and practice that is at the heart of the mandate and vision of the Kalshoven-Gieskes Forum. We will teach you the foundations of IHL through a series of video clips. Afterwards, you will have the chance to apply and test your legal knowledge through various quizzes and an ongoing case study involving the fictitious country Afula. We would also like to share success stories as well as challenges of IHL application with you, and who is better equipped to do so than experts in the field. In each module, you will therefore be able to listen to interviews with our distinguished colleagues from the International Committee of the Red Cross, the Netherlands Red Cross, the US Naval War College, the University of Glasgow, as well as the University of Leiden. So please join us on our journey through this first MOOC on International Humanitarian Law in theory and practice.